I've been seeing a lot of ads for something called the Wallabot, which is what you see right here. And finally one ad came across my Facebook account. A lot of you people that follow some of my other videos, you know that we recently purchased a new house, so we're kind of doing a little bit of I wouldn't say remodeling, but we're adding things and getting into the walls, and I really needed a good stud finder other than my wife. And so I bought this Wallabot expecting nothing more than a standard stud finder and probably a lot of breaks and promises on its claims, but I will tell you it actually does deliver exactly what they advertise, and they're relatively inexpensive. I will put a link down below if I can find a good deal on this, but at the time this was on sale for like $69, and I really don't know how they can make it that cheap for what it does. But it almost is like an X-ray for your wall. Basically, you attach this device on the back side of your cell phone, and you hold your cell phone along the wall and you slide it across, and it'll let you see through the wall. Now their claims are you could find wooden studs, metal studs, pipe and wire, and movement. So if you had a mouse behind the wall and you're able to catch it, you might be able to see that mouse move behind the wall with one of the devices. The downfall is, all of you Apple people, right now this is not compatible with Apple. It is basically an Android device only. So when you open up this box, you're going to see the Wallabot itself, which kind of looks like a screenless phone. It's about the same size. It's relatively light. They do give you a clear piece of plastic that allows you to protect the top of the device from being scratched as you glide it across your wall. You can see I've already worn into mine. I've actually used it quite a bit. I'm very pleased with its results, but we'll show you how it works here in a little bit. On the back side is I keep a piece of plastic on. I keep the plastic that's shipped with it, but it's basically a gel type sticky stuff. It's almost like a window gel cling. It's just tacky enough that you can stick it to the back of your cell phone, but not permanent by any means. It'll come right off when you're done with it. And then I just stick the original plastic piece of paper for just to keep the dust off of it so I can use it again. Also inside the box, you're going to see a couple of different types of connectors. And again, sorry Apple people, they don't make this for Apple yet, at least at this time. You might want to check their website and see if they do or don't. But it's got a micro USB and the newer type connector for the newer devices as well. And then in the very bottom, there's a manual on kind of how to use it. Now you will need to go to the Android store and download some software. It's free, but it works pretty seamlessly. I've tried it on a couple of different phones, one that's a little bit older and one that's newer, and it works pretty well. So let's get right to it. I have a cabinet that I want to mount, and we'll talk about it, and we'll actually use it, and then you guys can see how well this actually works. So the first thing you want to do is stick the Wallabot to the back of your phone. Now this isn't anything fancy, it's just a Samsung phone, so you can see it sticks really well. And then you want to plug it in. So there is, on the plugs, you'll see they're labeled. One says Wallabot and one says phone, so plug them in accordingly. And then you have to calibrate the unit. Now a little bit of real world demonstration is, here is a cabinet that I will be mounting on the back side of this wall. Now I understand how this wall is as well. I've been in these walls enough that I know where basically everything is. And obviously there's a couple of studs, but there's also a wire right up through the center. This is on the back side of a small bathroom, and that wire goes up to a ceiling fan or a vent to vent the bathroom as needed. So when we use the Wallabot, I expect to see a wire somewhere along here, and obviously our studs as well. Calibrating is actually pretty simple. The first thing you want to do is select the appropriate type of wall. So you can see down here, you can do a drywall or a concrete wall. We're going to do a drywall wall, so we're going to select that. It says, hey, you need to calibrate it. That's exactly what we're going to do. We say okay. It shows you a little bit of help on how you're supposed to calibrate it. Basically, you're going to move it around in small circles and work your way to a bigger circle. Let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go around in circles. And it says calibration is complete. So now you're also going to see down here in the bottom, you have a pan, images, and expert. These are three different types of modes that this can do. I kind of like to keep it on images. It's more of an X-ray. So I originally shot this with the phone really, really bright, and I didn't realize it until I went back to look at the video, and it was pretty much washed out and you couldn't see it. But basically I had marked a stud that was right here that I'm going to anchor the cabinet to, and I want to slide this phone across so you can see just how accurate that is. And the stud is right where I marked it, which is pretty impressive. And then as I went down further, I found the wire that I was talking about that goes up to the ceiling and then into the ceiling vent. And then there's nothing else for another 16 inches off to the right, and then we can find the other stud. So those are the points where we're going to mount the cabinet. So you can see this device works really, really well. And that stud, it's there. There's no denying it. It sees it. It works exceptionally well. Now, I also want to talk about the other modes that this particular device has. So the first one is just called images. As you can see, it's kind of like an X-ray, so to speak. It lets you see what's behind the wall. They also have one that's called expert mode. And I'm not really fond of it, but maybe an expert would be. But basically it gives you kind of almost like an infrared type view of what's behind the wall. So we can see the stud, and then you can see the wire that it found before. So as we transition from the wire to the stud, you can see that it's just kind of a globby look. So that might mean something to an expert. You can also control the sensitivity of that as well. Now the other mode is called panoramic. And basically you hold a button and you slide the phone across and it charts it off in a linear printable type of material. And you can see it's basically, you can see the stud and then you can see the wire right next to the stud. I don't like those two modes. I actually like the images. I just think it's a cleaner view for kind of a quick find, such as what we were doing. We were trying to find a stud. Works for me. I'm actually really pleased with this device. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It's a pretty cool package. I really can't believe they can jam the technology in such an affordable device. I will put a link again down below if I can find a good deal on this. But it's called the Wallabot. It only works with Android phones right now, but check their website. That might change. I actually expect it to change sometime. Pretty cool device all in all. If you like these types of videos, do-it-yourself types of videos, please take a look at some of my other videos. You might find something you yourself might want to make or build someday.